This video documents an American man, a former Navy man who pursued the truth after exposing a UFO sighting. One day in 1977, this individual had a puzzling experience. On this day, he suddenly awakened to the Kundalini. The mystical experience known as Kundalini Awakening occurred on this day. At this time, as I closed my eyes, a sphere appeared and showed me what I called sacred geometry.
What the hell is this?
And there is someone who can tell us what the relationship is between this sacred geometry and consciousness. Who is that person? It was an extraterrestrial. Hello, everyone. In this video, I'd like to introduce Mr. Dan Willis. Thank you to everyone who has come across this video today. Before we begin, there's something I want to share. This video was edited by a Japanese person, myself. I'm creating and editing this video because I strongly feel the need to share the truth with all of you. However, I must admit that, unfortunately, I'm not very fluent in English. While I've produced this video as accurately as possible, translating from Japanese to English sometimes causes slight discrepancies. These differences might be in expression or interpretation. There are times when things just don't translate perfectly. If there happens to be any awkward wording, I'd be grateful if you could forgive it with a smile. Mr. Dan Willis is a world-renowned figure in the field of disclosure. He has dedicated decades to working on groundbreaking technologies, including free energy and crystal technology for healing. Now let's dive into his remarkable experiences and recorded testimonies. It is 1969. An American man is busy working in a communications room. His name is Dan Willis. He is an American in the U.S. Navy with a high level of authority over encryption at top secret level 14 and security clearance to handle classified material. And at this time he was working at what is said to be the busiest military communications facility on the planet. He was working at the San Francisco Naval Communications Station on Rough and Ready Island, the busiest military communications facility on the planet. But one day an incident occurred that changed his life forever. During his shift that day, Dan Willis monitored multiple vessel and land channels, and the messages sent simultaneously from the vessels were some of the strangest he had dealt with in years. That day, from a Navy vessel off the coast of Alaska, an urgent message arrived in Morse code. This message was classified as secret with an authenticated official priority. It was addressed to the Chief of Naval Operations in Washington, D.C., and originated from a U.S. Navy-owned military support vessel reporting its position off the coast of Alaska. According to what he read while decrypting the message, what the crew witnessed off the left bow of the ship was a bright, elliptical, reddish-orange, unidentified flying object, approximately 70 feet in diameter, emerging from the sea. And as soon as the strange object emerged from the ocean, it flew straight up into space. The vessel's radar operator was tracking an object moving at more than 7,000 miles per hour. Mr. Willis was decoding the message from Morse code, reading its contents, which were highly unusual. The incident happened right next to our vessel. Mr. Willis, who had received the message at the time, promptly relayed the information to his superiors, who reported it to the highest levels of the Navy, but this information never made it to the public. In 1969, he said, it was inconceivable that anyone on Earth would have such technology. This is the event that led him on the path to pursue the truth. Why are these UFO cases never made public? This involved the Espionage Act, which made it a crime for U.S. military personnel to disclose UFO sightings. The Espionage Act, enacted in 1917, is a U.S. law established to regulate criminal activities related to the improper handling of national secrets, and then this law, amended in 1953, imposed even stricter regulations on military and government personnel, preventing them from disclosing defense-related information without authorization. Reports of UFO sightings, among other things, were also treated as classified national secrets. In other words, the incident was covered up by the U.S. government. However, this event was burned into Mr. Willis's mind. He felt a dilemma in keeping such important information hidden. He considered copying and duplicating the secret message, but he refrained, knowing it would lead to a 10-year prison sentence. Through this experience, he continued to wonder, what exactly is this? And something is clearly wrong with this world. Following that, Dan Willis decided to conduct his own investigation into the sightings, focusing on the Navy crew members off the coast of Alaska. He then confirmed that around the same time, a 250-foot disc had emerged from the sea near another vessel, circled around the Navy ship, and ascended into space, an event witnessed by all 25 crew members. Many other reports also described numerous sightings of UFOs emerging from the sea at high speed and flying into space. According to Willis, he says this information is true because it is recorded in a secret U.S. Navy report. Also, one report states that in the summer of 1945, Army transport ship was sailing near Duck Island in the Aleutian Islands at the southwestern tip of Alaska. One of the ship's crew members reportedly saw ripples in the water a mile away from the ship. According to this report, one of the sailors saw a large circular object rise out of the water. The UFO was 150 to 200 feet in diameter. It began circling the ship. The report states that all the sailors felt uneasy. It was possible to attack the unidentified flying object with the ship's weapons. However, the sailors refrained from firing for fear of provoking an attack. The unidentified flying object was the mysterious saucer-shaped flying object was not affected by the wind and was moving with its own propulsion system. It circled the ship a couple of times and then flew away. Everyone was stunned and speechless. All 14 sailors witnessed this on that day, and all wrote a summary of the event and filed a report after landing. But again, the confidential report prepared by the sailors was never made public. Willis noticed a strikingly similar pattern in these reports. In every case he investigated, the objects rose out of the ocean and flew away at incredible speed. This is the pattern. In light of these UFO encounters, it is believed that an undersea alien base is likely to exist in Alaska. Recent sightings also report that thousands of spacecraft have been emerging off the coast of Alaska. Lately, many of these reports have come from around Smitty's Cove, about 60 miles from Anchorage. Local residents have reported that something strange is lurking underwater. However, these sightings continue to be concealed. I know some of you are wondering, why is it necessary to hide so much? Let's unravel it one by one as we sort through it. First, let me briefly describe Mr. Willis's activities from that time to the present. Well, Dan Willis then left the military to do his own research on UFOs, extraterrestrial life, free energy, or what is intentionally hidden in the reality of this world, and met with free energy inventors and developers from around the world to see for himself the facts. For decades, he has worked on groundbreaking technologies, including free energy, anti-gravity, and crystal technology for healing. It is said that Mr. Willis's developments using crystal technology revive techniques that haven't been utilized on Earth since the time of Atlantis. He has also been active as a truth-seeking discloser, and the day came when he publicly announced an event that he had experienced himself. It was as a military witness at a big global disclosure event. Some of you may have heard about this event. It was a project organized by Dr. Stephen Greer, widely known for his work on UFO research and extraterrestrial life. This worldwide disclosure project was held at the National Press Club in Washington, D.C. Dr. Stephen Greer is a former American physician widely known for his activities in UFO research, contact with extraterrestrial life, and the promotion of free energy. Dan Willis participated in this project as one of the military witnesses. This was an event lasting about 2 hours, said to be the most watched live press event in the history of the National Press Club. During this disclosure project, Dr. Stephen Greer brought 21 witnesses to testify before members of the world's media at a congressional hearing with 22 cameras filming in the background. The shocking information revealed in this project is our legal government being denied access with proof from 2 presidential administrations. The technology that could end the energy and environmental crisis is hidden. The base is visually witnessed to exist on the far side of the moon. The ET civilization has shown no hostility and has simply shut down its nuclear arsenal. According to NASA officials, NASA does not release UFO information to the public. We have witnesses involved in targeting and shooting down ET craft and retrieving them. 57 different ET species have been cataloged according to retrieval team member Sergeant Clifford Stone. Navy reports exist of spaceships emerging from the sea. The fabricated threat of extraterrestrial life was one of the false flag plans planned for the future. And many more. They are all interesting. And Willis confessed that during the first hour, there had been electronic interference from outside the press club, indicating that there were actually people who did not want the public to hear what was being disclosed. According to sources, it was the NSA that interrupted the broadcast. And this event of the day was reported by many media outlets, including CNN, BBC, CBS, among others. Given the many credible testimonies on this historic day, Willis anticipated that the world would surely change with the next day's coverage. The testimonies from this time were disseminated across the internet in various languages. However, this coverage turned out to be unexpected. This was because the major media ended their coverage with a short report. As a result, gave the impression that they just wanted to hold a public hearing on the current state of UFOs. Thus, Willis came to clearly recognize at this time that the media is intentionally covering up this issue. Given his background as a former ABC radio news broadcaster, he showed a keen interest in how the media controls the general populace. Willis thoroughly analyzed with extensive knowledge, particularly the psychological warfare aspect of the media, and during his investigative process, he noticed that undue influence was at play under the guise of national security. According to Willis at this time, the media employed a tactic known as the limited hangout. The limited hangout is a technique used for information control or concealment. In this method, a portion of confidential or inconvenient facts is deliberately disclosed to obscure the truly significant or concealed truths, thereby achieving the goal of keeping the most critical information hidden. He has really delved into researching and analyzing, primarily from a psychological perspective, how the media has controlled public consciousness. Willis's analysis and considerations are intriguing, and he also takes on the opposite perspective for analysis. I will introduce in part how Willis's observations on media control influence the psychology of the masses. If you were part of a CIA media information processing think tank, this is how we would sanitize this potentially explosive news report. Let's dissect the less than 2-minute CNN news report, since CNN is the flagship news service provider. Keep in mind the psychological think tanks that have invested billions of dollars into knowing the psychology of the public's mind and knowing exactly how to say something and what words to choose. Voice inflections and body language, all of which imply an interpretation of what is being reported. It is an extensively studied fine art of creating a perception in the viewer's mind, in which fits the agenda of those who control the distribution of information through the mainstream media. What happens when those who have completed advanced psychological operations watch the news on television? One might think of a scenario like this. After a day's work, sitting on the couch, eating potato chips, drinking beer, and watching the news, one might think, wow, that's interesting. With all that UFO coverage, I figured there must be something going on. But with all the serious problems going on in the world right now, I don't think Washington would make it such a priority. Dr. Greer has gone to great lengths to gather these UFO testimonies, but no one knows if they are real or not. The government has yet to officially acknowledge them. Holding congressional hearings on the reality of UFOs seems like a waste of taxpayer money. It's an interesting topic, but not directly relevant to my life. I have bills I have to pay, like the electric bill for my house and the gas bill for my car. It is the things that affect me that would be of interest to me. Indeed, many people may think this. The average television viewer has no idea what impact the revelation of UFOs and aliens and the subsequent disclosure of secret technology will have. Little do they know how it will affect almost every aspect of a person's life. Those who realize that the media is lying become very powerful truth warriors. They may have once believed the mainstream mindset. Once awakened, they become more active seekers of the truth. That's how Willis sees it. UFOs, extraterrestrials, advanced technology, and many other things we cannot imagine. Being aware of the fact that it already exists, I didn't think it was important enough to have a major impact on our lives. I wonder how many people tell that story. Such stories are often accompanied by the claim that they are nothing more than conspiracy theories. Is this really true? According to Mr. Willis, in 1967, the CIA secretly instructed its agents to label anyone questioning the JFK assassination as conspiracy theorists in order to answer those questions. This label is still in use today, and conspiracy theorists are often dismissed with claims that they have financial interests or half-baked theories. People, he says, trust what news anchors on television say and find reassurance in the information provided there. But that newscaster is reading information produced by a psychological information produced by think tanks and reads out loud. That information is being used to manipulate our perceptions, and to manipulate our perceptions and get us to agree with the intended agenda. This is very sophisticated, he says. In other words, to make us call truth seekers equals conspiracy theorists. This has been the plan since 1967. If this is true, why are extraterrestrial life and UFOs? If this is true, you may have an idea why extraterrestrial life and UFOs are top secret. I am sure that the people who are watching this video and who are interested in these topics, each person who pursues the truth may change the future of this world. Why do these individuals have the potential to change the world's future? Let me explain while delving a bit deeper. Please stick with me until the end. Dan Willis has been conducting research from a psychological perspective as well, and he has also been studying crystals for many years. At a certain point, he experienced a very intriguing mystical experience that guided him towards the path of science. From that day on, Willis was inspired by this experience to explore the field of science. In 1977, he had a rare mystical experience where his Kundalini awakened. The awakening of Kundalini, a concept from ancient Indian yoga and tantric philosophy, refers to the process of awakening the latent potential energy in the body, mind, and spirit. Why this happened and how it occurred, Willis himself admits he does not fully understand, but he undoubtedly states that it happened. When he experienced it, he was in a state with his eyes closed, and a being with a large head and eyes appeared, projecting a sphere of geometry into the space. This mysterious being conveyed information about what is known as sacred geometry through the sphere. In such a state, he was shown clear visual images. Along with this, the sensation changed to feeling as though thousands of volts of electricity were flowing from his limbs down to his feet. At that moment, he felt that in order to communicate with this mysterious entity, it was necessary to raise one's energy or frequency level. He spoke of how this entity emitted enormous loving energy from its eyes, and a sphere was projected into the surrounding space. When observing the sphere, geometric shapes began to connect, shifting into a series of different patterns, one after another. And through telepathy, he was taught about the relationship between the geometric structure of the matrix and consciousness. At the time, he had no knowledge on this topic, but he describes the experience as extremely real and vivid, with an energy level that was intense yet simultaneously very loving. However, he says he couldn't tell whether this experience merely conveyed metaphorical concepts, or if it had embedded scientific concepts yet to be discovered into his subconscious mind. However, this felt entirely new and fascinating, as if it held the key to understanding the nature of this matrix where we operate. Interestingly, at the same time as Willis's experience, it is said that Dr. Marcel Vogel was also having a Kundalini Awakening experience at the top of a sacred mountain in Trivandrum, India. Dr. Marcel Vogel was once a senior scientist at IBM, a genius scientist who held 140 patents related to the magnetic coating used in liquid crystal displays for PCs and color televisions. Moreover, Dr. Vogel was the only person on this planet who scientifically connected geometric forms, exemplified by crystals, with consciousness. After that incident, Mr. Willis became interested in sacred geometry, and in the course of his studies, he learned of Dr. Marcel Vogel and was invited by Dr. Vogel to become a research associate. They worked together on several joint projects. Moreover, Willis also took inspiration from the research of Masaru Emoto, known for Messages from Water, who studied the crystallization and vibrations of water in Japan. Willis focused on the sanctity of water, stating that water as a substance is indeed wonderful. While Willis's scientific contemplations and analyses are technical and quite challenging for a layperson like me, I will introduce a part where he explains the concept of water crystals in a way that is easy for me to understand. There are indications that the very thoughts we conceive possess attributes related to the geometric patterns observed in crystallography, with various thought patterns being recorded and captured at the moment of freezing, demonstrating how our consciousness affects the delicate crystallization patterns of water. High-frequency thoughts of the mind result in a higher degree of structural organization compared to low-frequency thoughts. For example, the difference between thoughts of love and hatred. What we call love is the fundamental structure of this matrix, playing a role in maintaining the form of all matter. As such, it is documented, meaning, as both scientists on Earth and extraterrestrial beings have stated, love is being scientifically explained as the most powerful frequency. I've shared this because it's intriguing, but further explanation would become quite complex, so I'll leave it at that. Along with the Kundalini experience explained earlier, the extraterrestrial being that showed Willis sacred geometry was later identified by Elena Danaan, an ambassador of the Galactic Federation, as a benevolent entity named Immerser. Immerser is from the star Tau Ceti in the constellation Cetus, located 11 light-years from Earth. Their world is said to be a place of peace, civilization, spirituality, and great knowledge. Isn't it amazing that knowledge like this could come from outside our planet? After an encounter with an extraterrestrial life form named Mercer, connecting to the study of geometric structures within crystalline minerals and folklore about their effects, he began to engage in research on crystals. He is currently in collaboration with Elena Danaan, whom I mentioned earlier, receiving advice from Jenhan Eredian, with whom she is in contact, and together they are researching and developing crystal technology. In other words, Mr. Willis is one of the chosen members of the Galactic Federation. Jenhan Eredian, a Pleiadian from the planet era, is said to be a star maker, a person who terraforms planets, and he has an advanced understanding of the science of crystals and the holographic matrix of reality. Galactic Federation Commander Sohan said of Mr. Willis, "He came to bring knowledge to the people of Terra. He is an emissary who will pave the way," he said. Essentially, the galaxy has a set of rules called prime directives that prohibit interference or intervention. According to the rules, highly evolved interstellar nations are forbidden from transmitting overly advanced technology to less developed planets. However, because Thorhan Eredian, the brother of Jenhan Eredian, is a commander in the Galactic Federation, the advanced wisdom of the galaxy was permitted to be specially shared with the people of Earth. Unknown to us, Dan Willis has been developing unknown technologies. However, according to Willis, free energy technologies like tachyons, capable of rapidly advancing human civilization, along with inventions like anti-gravity, have faced particularly severe suppression. Thus, inventors including Willis have had no choice but to give up on releasing numerous new inventions, and many inventors have been threatened or have lost their lives, he revealed. However, conversely, this also means that once those in the shadows are cleared away, unknown technologies will be disclosed. Up to this point, we've introduced the invaluable testimony of Dan Willis, but according to Willis's own research, the hidden truths of this world trace back to 1900, and understanding what has occurred and what has been concealed up to today is key to unraveling the mysteries of this world, he concludes. It all started with Nikola Tesla, followed by all subsequent events, matters concerning the world's global elite, the secrets surrounding UFOs and extraterrestrial life from 1900 to today, including his own experiences and involvements. Willis has researched and deepened his understanding of what happened. To understand the recognition matrix we currently inhabit, one must look back through history chronologically to know the events that have led us to today's world. And by examining these, discovering patterns, Willis believes that the hidden picture might become visible. As mentioned earlier, he often uses the term perception matrix. The matrix of perception refers to manipulating or controlling people's perceptions or worldviews from a specific viewpoint or with intentional purpose. Mr. Willis is also very knowledgeable about historical events and whistleblower testimonies, as he has done his own research. His research focuses on the period after 1900, but of course he also investigates earlier events. For instance, according to Willis, discoveries related to giant races were reported from the late 1800s to the early 1900s. However, he claims that a secret society, part of an occult network, concealed these findings to prevent people from thinking about these giants and understanding what they signify. These are part of the matrix of perception and are said to have a very ancient history. A certain Japanese woman interviewed Dan Willis, extracting more detailed information from him and passing it along. That is Miyoko Sano, a translator and best-selling author. In Japan, she is known for translating The Secret by Rhonda Byrne, which became a bestseller with over 30 million copies sold worldwide, translating numerous books, including those by Elena Danaan. authoring many books herself, starting with titles like The Shocking Truth of the World. Many people feel that her passion is anything but half-hearted. She has lived overseas for over 24 years and has been active as a simultaneous interpreter at international conferences for more than 20 years. She also holds the title of Official Outreach Facilitator for the Monroe Institute. Miyoko Sano is not just someone who interprets or translates. She is a person who seeks truth, acts as a bridge between overseas and Japan, and plays a crucial role in disseminating this knowledge. In this way, you can learn the latest information from the interview record with Dan Willis, which I introduced this time, in the new book, Truth Seekers 3, released by Voice on October 15th, 2024. Please note that this book is in Japanese. In this book, Dan Willis discusses various truths about UFOs and extraterrestrials that have been concealed until now, how advanced technology is on Earth beyond our knowledge, and methods for creating reality using crystals. Miyoko Sano brings out the latest information from him. Not only Dan Willis, but also interviews with Kathy O'Brien and Sasha Stone are featured in this book, where each of them reveals many astonishing events that they claim happened to them, which might make you question your ears. In this video, I focused on introducing Dan Willis, but everyone featured in this book is bravely confessing the truth at great personal risk. These are topics that could never be discussed on YouTube. What is happening in the world behind our backs? What does the future hold for this Earth? For those interested in pursuing the truth or simply curious, please check the link in the description for more information. The incredible aspect of Miyoko Sano is not the unreliable information scattered across the internet, but the first-hand information, directly from her own experiences. Moreover, each of these individuals is a renowned figure globally. While it's well known that media like TV and newspapers often provide information of the lowest quality, are you aware that even information on the internet might be fourth or fifth hand, potentially altered to suit someone's convenience? One thing she frequently mentions is that while many events and secrets are kept from the general public, without understanding the beings referred to as extraterrestrials or aliens, it is impossible to grasp everything fully, she often says. Most people might never have seen them, but it wouldn't be an overstatement to say that their involvement with humanity is profound. Returning to the discussion about Mr. Willis, Dan Willis, who testified at the Disclosure Project held in Washington, D.C. in 2001, later experienced firsthand how he was neutralized by the controlled media. From this experience, he stated, "It's clear that there is unjust influence infiltrating behind the scenes, established for national security systems. He believes this system is used to control the general perception that forms our consensual reality, to conceal their illegal activities, and that this is why they fear the disclosure of the truth about extraterrestrial reality. Who controls the agreed-upon reality through the mainstream media, and why they fear disclosing the truth about the extraterrestrial reality." In response to this inquiry, Mr. Willis has left behind a vast amount of information. Personally, I found this to be a truly remarkable article. Lastly, I would like to quote just a part of Mr. Willis's words. Perhaps through his words, some might realize that something is wrong. Here you go. What is the agreed-upon reality? It is your perception of the world around you. This begins to take form from the moment of your birth and over the years through the indoctrination of information from everything from your school education to what you see on television and movies. All this information helps to form your perception of the world. But have you noticed that every so often there appears to be an unexplainable glitch in that reality? As was expressed in the movie The Matrix when Morpheus explained to Neo, "Let me tell you why you're here. You're here because you know something. What you know you can't explain, but you feel it. You felt it your entire life, that there's something very wrong with the world. You don't know what it is, but it's there like a splinter in your mind, driving you mad." But we are not talking about a science fiction movie. Many people obviously sense that there is something very wrong with the world, and that our perceptions have been manipulated to hide the truth surrounding the extraterrestrial reality. As Robert F. Kennedy once said before he was assassinated, "I found out something I never knew. I found out that my world was not the real world." A major key to unlocking understanding of this hidden reality is the extraterrestrial UFO issue. No one can claim to be the absolute expert or authority on this subject, as it is shrouded in compartmentalized secrecy. And truly the most one can do is just scratch the surface to look for the indicators that have surfaced, which point to a fuller picture, being careful not to elude yourself to an absolute conclusion, as the rabbit hole goes many levels deep. These indicators, or the glitches in the agreed-upon reality, can many times be revealed from the many leaked documents and whistleblowers that have collaborating information that indicates a reality, in which extreme efforts have been done in order to keep hidden the full truth from the public, despite the overwhelming evidence to the contrary. What is being presented here are some of these indicators based on historical elements outside of what the history books have taught us in school, in which anyone can verify historically this information for themselves. If I had not my own first-hand experiences regarding this subject, I would most likely not even be writing about this, as there would be no need for this question to ever enter my mind. I don't pretend to have all the answers, but I feel it is clear that the deception needs to be exposed, as it is important for the future of humanity and this planet to learn the truth for many reasons, and understand our ability to transform the agreed-upon reality for the good of mankind. Do your own research and trust no one single source, as there is much disinformation, as those who know the truth are sworn to secrecy, and then with a compartmentalized, incomplete understanding at best. Use your own observation and analysis. Look for consistent indicators that agree with your own reasoning. That's all for today. Some of you may have had a glimpse of a whole new world. If you felt love in Dan Willis's words, please like, subscribe, and comment. See you in the next video.
Thank you.